So I made no price prediction in 2023. When the Bitcoin ETF came out, and I guess Bitcoin was like 3540 at the beginning of the year, I said, it's going to 100,000. And people scoffed at me and said, well, you made that prediction already, dummy, and it didn't happen. And I said, yeah, I got it wrong because I thought the SEC chairman was going to apply the law the way the law was written. I didn't think he was going to be arbitrary and capricious in the application and administration of the law. In fact, that's exactly what the court said in the ruling. Okay, so now you get the thing approved. It's at 100,000. There's going to be a supply shock, Ryan. And so there's no reason why this can't trade to 200,000 over the next 12 months.
In a recent interview, Anthony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital and a leading voice in the cryptocurrency space, reflected on his earlier predictions for Bitcoin. In 2021, Scaramucci boldly forecasted that Bitcoin would reach $100,000 by the end of 2022, a prediction that fell short due to regulatory delays. Acknowledging his misstep, Scaramucci explained how he underestimated the SEC's reluctance to approve Bitcoin ETFs. However, with the SEC now aligning more closely with market expectations, he believes the groundwork is set for a dramatic price surge. Citing the potential for a supply shock, Scaramucci asserts that Bitcoin could realistically climb to $200,000 within the next year. His renewed confidence is a testament to the shifting dynamics of cryptocurrency adoption. As regulatory frameworks become clearer and institutional participation grows, Bitcoin's trajectory could redefine how value is perceived in modern finance. Let's watch clips from Anthony Scaramucci's explosive interview to gain more insight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications for additional in-depth content. Thanks for joining us again. Enjoy the video.
It's funny, Trump is not that we're talking about astrology on your podcast, but Trump is a Gemini, right? So he's a twin. He's got two people in one body, right? He's got the evil bad twin, and then he's got the good twin, right? And so you get a mixed bag with the guy. And the stuff coming out on crypto is, I think, fantastic. I think you learn when you do these things. When I was on his transition team in 2016, you learn that personnel is policy. And so Besant, positive on crypto, understands it, wants us to be a force in crypto. Atkins, positive on crypto, understands the libertarian concepts of it, wants the United States to fairly regulate crypto. Howard Lutnick, he told Anthony Pompliano he's got hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. I guess he's going to have to put that in a blind trust at this point, but he's Secretary of Commerce, loves crypto. So personnel being policy, and those are just some of them. I mean, there's a whole list of others. What about David Sachs? David Sachs is going to go be the quarterback inside the White House to help run AI and crypto strategy. Let's just, for the sake of this argument, let's say that it is digital gold to these people. And if we're at that point and we're in a modern society and Trump wants to make a statement, and we believe, rightly or wrongly, that the Chinese are going to move to buy Bitcoin, and they're going to move to make it a strategic reserve asset for the Chinese economy and the Chinese government. And if that's the case, what are we talking about? We're talking about $70, $80 billion. To put it in perspective, we've got a $6 trillion budget. So you're talking about 1% of it, 1.5% of the budget to buy Bitcoin, but we're also talking about it over 5 years. So you're talking about 30 basis points of the budget over 5 years, which could emotionally strengthen the dollar and could put the United States on better competitive footing, or at least tie the United States with other Western nations. Said differently, if you put me in that seat, forget about the fact that I own Bitcoin. If you put me in that seat and said, is it in the United States' national interest to have a strategic reserve in Bitcoin? I would say yes. And then if you said to me, why? I would say 3 reasons. Number one, I do believe it's digital gold. And I think the future is changing, and I would want to have it on our balance sheet like we do gold. Even if you said I had to sell $100 billion of gold and replace it with $100 billion of Bitcoin. Number two, your generation, forget about me, I'm an old fart, but you're a young man. Your generation is going to live further and deeper in the digital world than me. I think China is already acquiring it.
Probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think they're already acquiring it because they're like, holy, blank. Trump is going to be long and pro Bitcoin. We kicked all the Bitcoiners out of this country. And again, more evidence about the strength and resiliency of Bitcoin. They kicked all the Bitcoiners out of the country, and 10% of the mining, Ryan, still happens in China. So to me, I don't know. I mean, look, this is the stuff I like about Trump, right? Like I said, you have a good twin and you have a bad twin in there. And the good twin is like, yeah, we're going to have a muscular defense and we're going to have a muscular national economic story. And Bitcoin could be a very big part of that for people. Also, remember, you're spending globally $7 trillion on verification of transactions. And that's everything from accountants and lawyers and wire fees, credit card fees. I could take you through the whole verification economy. It's $7 trillion. If you're telling me over the blockchain that you and I can trade and transact with each other and have the network itself, the blockchain, the technology, verify the transaction for us in a permissionless and let's call it trustless way, because the network is something we both trust, it's going to unleash trillions of dollars of capital that can get deployed into more economic innovation. And so the world is changing, and the world is changing for the better. There was a group of politicians in the United States that did not want to embrace and accept that change. And they got their asses kicked in 2024. They got their asses handed to them. And so if Brian Armstrong's saying, hey, fellas, you want to keep this up? We're going to hand you your asses again in 26 and in 28. And by the way, do the math. It's a very tight country, Ryan. We're a 50-50 country. If you have 60 million people that own a cryptocurrency in this country, let's say 3% of them are single issue voters. And that's a very small number. That's 1.8 million people. That could swing a Congress. It could swing the House of Representatives. It swung the presidential election. So are you allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, fuck around and find out. Fuck around. Go ahead.
They already did.
Keep the nonsense up with all the stupidity, and let's see where it goes for you.
Anthony Scaramucci emphasizes Bitcoin's transformative potential as digital gold, advocating its inclusion in U.S. reserves to maintain competitiveness amid China's growing acquisitions. Highlighting blockchain's efficiency, he notes its ability to replace the $7 trillion spent annually on transaction verification, unlocking trillions for innovation. Drawing parallels to the internet revolution, Scaramucci predicts blockchain will reshape economies. He also warns policymakers of crypto's political influence, with millions of American voters demanding policies that embrace decentralized finance and digital transformation. Anthony Scaramucci dives deep into the transformative potential of Bitcoin, emphasizing the importance of understanding and patience when investing in the cryptocurrency. Drawing from his own journey, initial skepticism followed by hours of research, he explains how education about Bitcoin often converts skeptics into believers. He stresses Bitcoin's long-term value, likening it to revolutionary investments like Apple and Amazon, and advises investors to buy, hold, and avoid emotional reactions to short-term price swings. For Scaramucci, Bitcoin represents unparalleled potential for financial growth and innovation. Let's watch more clips from the interview.
I have yet to meet a person of above average intelligence that does the homework on Bitcoin that doesn't go towards Bitcoin. I have yet to meet the person. I did 25 hours of homework on Bitcoin. I read the white paper. I talked to hundreds of people on Wall Street. 25 hours on Bitcoin. I hate Bitcoin. I don't want to go anywhere near it. Not one person, Stan Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, Larry Fink himself, Abigail Johnson, do the homework on Bitcoin, go towards Bitcoin. I hated Bitcoin. You know who else hated Bitcoin? Michael Saylor. But he did.
Right.
Ask him. Get him on the podcast. He'll say, oh, it's a fad. It's passé. It's ridiculous. He didn't understand it. I hated it. Why did I hate it? Didn't understand it. Michael Saylor did the homework, and then when Michael Saylor got done doing the homework, he couldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. He said, Anthony, I couldn't sleep once I figured out what Bitcoin was. It's like, how am I going to buy enough of this network? How am I going to do it? Okay. And I said to him, because I got there after him, I said the same thing. Now, I've done in the similar way what Saylor has done, just smaller. Donald Trump in 2018 or 2019, you can find it, Ryan. President Donald Trump as president, I hate Bitcoin.
No, I
Bitcoin's this,
remember. I
Bitcoin is
remember
that.
when
Okay.
this tweet dropped.
Okay, all right. So I'm not making it up. And then he got educated on it. And then he said, wait a minute, I now understand it. I want to be a Bitcoin president. You got to give him credit for that. Okay. I'm a balls and strikes person. I told people what I didn't like about him, the bad twin and the good twin. Okay. And so he's in. So I'm telling you on the margin, there's going to be a legion of people this year that do that homework and get long Bitcoin. I think this is an $18 trillion asset. If it takes 10 years, so what? If I told you that you could hold this asset, it's 100,000 right now, and at the end of 10 years, it'll be worth $1 million. Go back and look at Apple, NVIDIA over the last 10 years and say to yourself, okay, we have something that's very obvious. It's right in front of us. And there are people that said, I can't buy Apple, it's too expensive, it went up 10x. I can't buy NVIDIA, it's a fad stock, it went up 15x. I can't buy Amazon. And they missed it. I'm not missing Bitcoin. And by the way, when I bought it, my clients, there were people wanted to fire me. You want to hear the story? I buy it in October of 2020. It goes from 17,000 to 69,000. My clients are calling me, telling me that I'm a visionary and I'm a genius. We go from 69,000. You know, we flash crashed. I think the low print was like 12,000. I don't know if it was like overnight. It was, remember, so let's call it 15,000. We went from 69,000 to 15,000 in 22. And I had clients calling me, the very same clients called me a genius. You're an imbecile, and I'm selling out my position. Okay. First of all, I wasn't a genius. I'm not an imbecile, but I did see something. And now you go from 16,000 to 100,000. Other people now see it. And so I don't want my clients to miss it. I don't want your podcast listeners to miss it. So that's why I wrote a book about it.
Our podcast listeners are all in, Anthony. Let me tell you, this is kind of
okay. Well,
like
I want them to stay in.
Oh yeah,
because you know, and I know, Bitcoin could trade to 75,000. You know, we had a move from 70 to 50,000 recently, before the election. So yes, it could go down from here. I'm not saying it's going to go straight up. Nothing goes straight up. Just don't sell it. I have gotten it wrong forever. I said at the end of 2021, Bitcoin would be 100,000 at the end of 2022. I got my ass kicked. So I made no price prediction in 2023. When the Bitcoin ETF came out, and I guess Bitcoin was like 3540 at the beginning of the year, I said it's going to 100,000. And people scoffed at me and said, well, you made that prediction already, dummy, and it didn't happen. And I said, yeah, I got it wrong because I thought the SEC chairman was going to apply the law the way the law was written. I didn't think he was going to be arbitrary and capricious in the application and administration of the law. In fact, that's exactly what the court said in the ruling. Okay, so now you get the thing approved. It's at 100,000. There's going to be a supply shock, Ryan. And so there's no reason why this can't trade to 200,000 over the next 12 months.
What are you worried about?
I'm going to tell you what I'm worried about. You ready? I can't find anything to worry about. And that's what I'm really worried about.
Not recession, not in the broader macro economy?
Well, no, I think a recession would probably help Bitcoin. I think it'd be a flight to safety to Bitcoin. And so I would just tell people, live below your means, buy the Bitcoin, shut it off. You know, Fred Krueger, I think his name is, he had a great line the other day. He says, there are two types of people. There are those that check their Bitcoin price every 15 seconds. And there are those that lie and say they don't check their Bitcoin price every 15 seconds, but check their Bitcoin. You know, but even if you're checking it every 15 seconds, and I appreciate that, don't sell it. Lock it up. Keep your brain away from Bitcoin. The emotional oscillation of your brain that could be affected by Bitcoin's prices. That would be my message to people, because there is something out there that you and I don't know. that could happen that upsets price near term, but I don't think it knocks off the 10-year trajectory.
Anthony Scaramucci's recent remarks about Bitcoin and its transformative potential in modern finance echo a larger narrative shaping the cryptocurrency landscape. The recent performance of Bitcoin ETFs, such as BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, highlights how mainstream financial institutions are embracing crypto. IBIT's rapid growth, achieving $50 billion in assets under management in just 228 days, underscores Bitcoin's evolving role as a legitimate asset class and a hedge against inflation. Scaramucci's emphasis on patience and understanding aligns with market trends, where profit-taking and tax loss harvesting by investors have led to temporary price fluctuations. However, institutional interest remains strong, with experts suggesting that Bitcoin ETFs will accelerate adoption by simplifying access for both individual and corporate investors. As Scaramucci puts it, understanding Bitcoin's long-term value is key, as it is positioned to redefine global finance in ways akin to Apple and Amazon during their early growth stages. With Bitcoin looking to get back to $100,000, many see it as digital gold, a scarce, decentralized asset with the potential to become a cornerstone of national reserves. Scaramucci's message is clear. While short-term volatility exists, Bitcoin's trajectory over the next decade is poised to unlock unparalleled financial innovation and stability, making it an essential consideration for forward-thinking investors. As we wrap up, do you still believe Bitcoin is a long-term store of value and a hedge against inflation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video and hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.